So now we know how to use the various portions of Canva to start creating our designs. And that's useful, that's good, so that we know how to approach things, but it still doesn't necessarily mean we can create a great looking design. And that's the thing that I really want to cover in the next lessons. And to start with, it's one of the most important ones, where I want to help remove anxiety when it comes to you designing. So one of the things you'll notice is that when it comes time to design, a lot of people kind of back up, they'll throw up their hands a bit and say like, oh, I don't know what I'm doing, I can't, I'm not sure. There's a certain anxiety to designing well. And in fact, there's studies that show that when anxiety is introduced, your creative mind shuts down a bit. Like you're not going to find as unique or creative ideas if you're anxious, if you're hesitant, if you have that type of doubt within it. So to get past that, really beyond just kind of learning the basics of Canva, so there's that comfort and there's that familiarity, what I really recommend you do is really get a feel for the software. And what I'm talking about is play. What I want you to do is get into Canva and do everything you can to just play around. Take shapes, just mess things around, add 100 different things, play with the colors, scale it, put it across. Don't try to make anything look good yet. This is not about creating a design you're going to post anywhere. This is about you just messing around. As I put this here, for instance, I kind of got an idea that what if, this goes to the edges, let's say, I'll copy it and I'll put it up to the top. That just came to the top of mind as I played around. Do this, create some art, just mess around. The reason you're doing this is that it's going to help cement the familiarity you have with the software. So you'll be using everything you've kind of learned and like, oh yes, this is how you use this element. This is how you use this element. Super useful. But in addition, you're just going to learn how it's a digital space. Nothing here really matters. You're not breaking anything. And you can play, you can mess around, you can try any number of things. And as you do that, as you gain comfort, as you reduce your anxiety, you will become more creative. So just immediately I've kind of created this funky looking shape, kind of cool, interesting, separates it into four. There's some really interesting things we could do with that. Again, I don't have any design in mind here. I myself am just playing around. Kind of curious to see where we get to. I was kind of wondering if we take, is it possible to have two photos on either side that get kind of cut off, like two different photos. Let's move that one to the back. So again, it's really important, you're not holding yourself to any type of agenda. You're not planning to post anything that you're doing here. This is just you getting in and messing around. Again, like learning as you go through any of the other courses I've done here that discuss, this tool, or this tool, I suggest go back and spend a moment just messing with that tool in particular. What's it like when you add 50 squares, 100 squares, various bunch of colors? So if we take some squares and elements, for instance, what if we add like 15 of these things? Here's one, oops, made the wrong shape. There's two. Copy, paste, skew, push, recolor, just anything and everything. Like really just don't let yourself get bogged down by it. Learn the tool, get comfortable with the tool, get used to creating in a digital space and reduce your anxiety, increase your creativity. So, and I think too, what's really kind of fun with this type of thing is that as you go through and as you aren't encumbered with having to actually release anything, you're going to find, shapes and elements you didn't even know existed. I remember recently I'd actually come across these lines. Where were they? I might have actually searched for lines. Let's try that. Elements, come up to the top, search for line. Searching. Yeah, there's this one too, which I thought was really beautiful. So I'd discovered this in a Canva Recreate one, just kind of playing around. So this like beautiful looking sun spire coming out. You can imagine any number of that sitting on top of any number of photos. Let's say this bowl here. Let's say we really want to promote how healthy this bowl is. You can send it back. Yeah, this kind of creates that like radiant, like glow effect. So I love that shape. I think it's going to factor into a few designs I'll be coming up with. But like, again, it's just that playing around. What happens when I put it here? What happens there? And again, it's a focus on reducing your anxiety, because you can design, you are creative, and you now have a basic understanding of how all the tools work within Canva. So over the next course of videos, it's going to be much like this, where it's more about approaches. There's going to be some design specifics around, things like alignment and repetition, things like that, of how you can create better looking designs with Canva now, because you have the base understanding. And I'll always remind you that have fun, try your best not to be anxious, and keep striving for that creativity.